Welcome to everyone this evening. Thank you for joining us on this evening's Heart to Heart Presidential Series discussion. This is the fifth and last of this calendar year, and I think it's very exciting as we'll be discussing the value of mentoring and philanthropy in helping to shape the future of cardiology and your ACC. I'm privileged to have with us on our panel tonight Dr. James Januzzi, Dr. Sandy Lewis, Dr. Hani Najm, and Dr. Bill Zogby, who will be joining me in our panel discussion. All of these distinguished folks have made incredible contributions as leaders, mentors, and philanthropists to the college and the profession as a whole. We also have several others in the audience, including Dr. Athena Pappas, Dr. Jeff Kuban, Dr. Eugene Sherman, and Dr. Nkechi Ijeoma, who will join us for the Q&A session. And you in the audience will also have an opportunity to ask questions during that time as well. So stay with us. So I'm going to start off by asking the panelists to introduce themselves briefly, starting with Dr. Januzzi. Jim?
Yeah, thanks so much, Dr. Wilson. Hey, everybody. Jim Januzzi from Massachusetts General Hospital and the Boehm Institute for Clinical Research. Really grateful to be here this evening to talk about the mission-critical aspects of philanthropy for the college.
And Sandy.
Thanks, Hadley. I'm Sandra Lewis. I'm a cardiologist in Portland, Oregon on the Board of Trustees, and I'm very honored to be here tonight to talk about a program that has given me great joy.
Thank you, Sandy. Hani?
Thanks, Hadley. This is Hani Najm. I'm the chair of pediatric and adult congenital heart surgery at the Cleveland Clinic, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and I'm so delighted to be part of this group and talk about mentoring and philanthropy, something dear to my heart, and I'm delighted to discuss this with you.
Great. And Bill, Dr. Zogby.
Thank you, Hadley. Bill Zogby from Houston, Texas. I'm the chief of cardiology here at Houston Methodist, past president of the college, and a pleasure to be with you to talk about research. How do we mentor researchers and early career leaders in the country and globally? Pleasure to be with you.
Great, and we're glad to have you with us, all of you. So I'm going to start off and ask the first question to our chair of the Philanthropy Task Force. Dr. Januzzi, as head of ACC's Philanthropy Task Force, how important is philanthropic giving to the college in achieving our mission, especially as it relates to health equity, leadership, development, and global innovation?
Yeah, thanks very much for asking that important question. It really sets the stage for everything that you're going to hear tonight, folks, from the multiple people who've joined today. I'm surrounded by generous donors, and Hadley, simply put, without the generosity of our members, friends, and partners, including members of the college, we wouldn't be able to offer the wide range of impactful programming that enables us to reimagine how we deliver healthcare, not only to the community as a whole, but specifically and importantly to at-risk communities, and focusing on elimination of health inequities, really a critical focus for the college. In addition, as you've already heard from Dr. Zogby, this provides us the opportunity to develop a strong and diverse pipeline of clinicians, scientists, and future leaders. Philanthropic funding also is critical to our ability to develop and distribute educational resources. I mean, this is a mission critical factor to the college to help our clinicians improve care outcomes in their communities worldwide. And, I hope that tonight with the various folks on the call, we can learn more about specific examples of some of our more generous donations, but every little bit helps, folks, for anyone listening in or watching in. And so I want you all to learn how contributions to the ACC have impacted the ACC mission and how they may in the future impact ACC mission. I mean, these programs that we've established are above and beyond what our member dues are able to fund. And so through philanthropy, we're able to support some of the greatest needs at the ACC. And so, you know, I'm looking forward to this discussion. I'm looking forward to sort of think about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going with philanthropy at the college.
Thanks, Jim. We really appreciate your leadership. And Sandy, Dr. Lewis, your generous gift in 2020 to the ACC Campaign for the Future has really funded the Sandra J. Lewis Mid-Career Women's Leadership Institute. Can you briefly share your reasons for developing this program and how you see it impacting women in cardiology, not only those in the midlife?
Thanks, Hadley. You know, Jim mentioned the pipeline, and I often think about the pipeline when I think about the reason for developing a mid-career women's program. When I started my fellowship, there were you could probably count the number of American women in cardiology on two hands. And I was actually early on a recipient of ACC philanthropy, in that I was in the first group of the ACC Merck Fellows. And so early on, I was introduced to the power of the college and engaged, participated, but also was building up a practice and raising two children. There weren't necessarily specific programs which have developed for early career and for fellows. But by the time I was in mid-career, there was nothing to help guide me through that. And all of a sudden, my kids were out of the house. I had my practice was well established. I had all this energy that I've been using all those years, and I wasn't quite sure how to use it. And so sort of climbed my way up just by keeping active and engaged. But what I saw was that there's this whole group of mid-career women that the literature actually calls invisible. And this is not just an issue in cardiology and in medicine, but it's also an issue in business. And I've been very fortunate. My husband and I have always looked at our life as very fortunate. And both of us had decided that as we reached our more senior years, that we wanted to have a legacy. And for me, it was looking back on these underserved, one of our underserved cardiology groups, women, and what could we do to help that pipeline that was really running very slim by the time you got to senior leadership. So what I thought was, what would have helped me? And I would have loved to have had a program that brought me together with other mid-career women and taught me the leadership skills. And the competencies are there. It's the confidence that was missing. And we just spent 2 years developing incredible skills for these women. And I just have to brag on them a little bit. You know, there were 22 women in the first cohort. We have several who've become chiefs of cardiology. We've had, there's a Robert Wood Johnson Health Policy Fellowship that has 6 members. One of our women has become one of those. They have gone on to become governors of different states in the college, chiefs of their divisions, full professors. We have several new full professors. So and looking back on this, these are the women that are then going to be able to mentor and sponsor and lead the younger women and men, the younger cardiologists, as they move up in their time in the college. So it's really where are we missing an opportunity to enrich leadership for education, for leadership, for philanthropy in the college.
Thanks, Sandy. I really enjoyed learning more about the program and how it's inspiring women, throughout the ACC, not only just in the mid-career. That's fantastic. Hani, Dr. Najm, what in the college really inspired you to support beyond just your membership alone, you had started the Global Leader Scholar Award. And if you could give us some examples about how that's encouraging knowledge sharing between international cardiology professionals, and maybe some of the examples of the young scholars that are coming through this program now.
Great, Hadley, thank you so much. So the reason why I was interested in this scholarship and to contribute, actually many reasons, but I'll mention 3 of them at least. One of them is I have taken a lot from the college. The college has given me so much for the last 15 years working with the college. The college has elevated me among my peers, recognized me, and I have grown from the international background coming into the United States until I became a trustee. So I have a lot to owe to the college. That's number one. Number two, I do realize that there are a lot of people around the world that are young cardiologists and young surgeons who aspire to even come and attend the annual meeting and be in one of the well-reputed cardiac centers in the United States. I know that this is an aspiration of many people around the world. And I thought through this scholarship, I'm able to offer some of them to come into the United States. I recall one of the candidates from Sudan who has actually never had a passport before. And now she actually traveled, got a passport, got a visa, came and attended the ACC annual meeting, and then spent 4 weeks at the Cleveland Clinic to just see around and learn from the best in the country. So I found this is an incredible opportunity, and I hope that we continue to progress with this. The third reason why I do believe that for you to take, you gotta give. If you don't give, you can't take. You gotta grow. And the only reason why I believe that the more you give, the more you get back to you in another way. It's from the same place that you donate to, or if you actually get it from some other places. What goes around comes around, and I believe in that. So, and that's one of the reasons why. And I think if I could make this available to some of the international young cardiologists and surgeons, and become an aspiration for them in the future to actually themselves become donors and contribute in the same way that I have done. It's a privilege and an honor to do this.
Thanks, Hani. And Bill, Dr. Zogby, past president, longtime leader in the college, and a mentor to many of us. So building a pipeline of new leaders and researchers has been an important priority for you. Can you tell us about your recent gift to the fund, the annual William A. Zogby International Research Award, and how you see this and other activities fitting into the college's global strategy?
Thank you, Hadley, for the opportunity to share some of these thoughts. But what drove me to engage even more with the college. All of us grow, and we always, in our leadership courses and interaction with future leaders and emerging leaders in cardiology or beyond, talk about mentorship, talk about the importance of mentorship and support as these young generation physicians come into the fore, into the field. And, we take many things for granted in this country as to the support, the mentorship, the availability of funding to bring about, the best qualifications and the fruition of the ideas of young researchers to be able to be successful. Mentorship and support at the early stage of their career is crucial for them to develop and blossom. And as you know very well, I've been very involved in the college from an international perspective. This is a passion of mine. We've been involved for, my goodness, 15 plus years. We have so many more international members nowadays, from 3,000 or so to about 17,000 now. And what drove me to that support is one of these international conferences that the ACC has put together. And it was a Zoom call during COVID. And on that call, there were some young researchers from Bangladesh, India, Mexico, you name it, about 4 or 5 of them. I could tell their eagerness. I could tell their drive, even talking with them, what they were doing, which was innovative and most importantly, important for their community. And many of them did not have support. And for them, to be able to do this, they needed some support. So, and that was the impetus for me to say, let's help these individuals. In high income countries, we have much more availability of such resources. And I wanted to dedicate this to low to middle income countries where there are plenty of young, very bright minds who need some support to realize their dream. And I think philanthropy is very important in this country and beyond, because yes, you could apply for grants from agencies. Yes, you can get some industry support, but most of the innovations and the things that are relevant to the community are not through either of these resources. Philanthropy is crucial, and I would invite many of our members, colleagues, friends to be able to help. And I'll finish with this. So this is an inaugural award that will be given in Scientific Sessions 24. And just imagine, for one award, there were more than 65 applications, which tells you about the hunger of individuals who are, hoping for some support. And I do hope that we can have at least 4 or 5 of these awards to help these young investigators, have their first step.
That's terrific news, Bill, and I really love hearing that going to actually potentially grow the number of awards each year, and it sounds like there's plenty of interest to keep that going. So thanks so much. I'm going to turn back to Dr. Januzzi. We've heard now some great examples of these new programs that are being funded through philanthropic efforts and making important contributions to mentoring and leadership development. Are there other major initiatives, Jim, that the philanthropy task force will be working on as we head into 2024, and how can others in the college get involved?
Sure. Yeah, thanks very much. And so such great examples from 3 major philanthropists for the college, just showing how giving can support the incredibly important efforts that the college is putting forwards. I'd like to emphasize that the American College of Cardiology does so much for people from pretty much all walks of life in cardiology. I mean, I suspect that clinicians are aware of the efforts the college makes on their behalf with the government in terms of reimbursement, but research efforts, international outreach, the support of underrepresented in medicine for women. I mean, this is a really exceptional institution that supports so many, and that's just where we're starting. 2024 is an exciting year for us. We're going to be celebrating all these amazing things that the college has accomplished over the past 75 years with a look to the future. There are going to be many opportunities for our members to engage with the college through programming and through philanthropy all throughout this year, because our 75th anniversary, which is coming up, is going to culminate at ACC 25 with a gala celebration. But even before we get there, philanthropy will have a big presence at ACC 24. We're going to have a giving day, a donor appreciation reception, and we're preparing to launch a legacy giving society focused on planned giving and other non-traditional ways that you can give back to the ACC. So, for all these reasons, we're really looking forward to growing this culture of philanthropy at the ACC. And, I hope that I can count on all of you and all of the members that are watching to participate participate, because supporting the American College of Cardiology to transform cardiovascular care and improve heart health is really, job number one for the Philanthropy Task Force.
That's great to hear, Jim. I love hearing the plans for this coming 75th year. And I think for many of us, we continue to refer to the ACC as the college. And if we think about that, I think it's because it's near and dear to our hearts, maybe like our own institutions where, we received our education, and many of us, of course, try to dutifully give back to that institution. And likewise, this is our learning institution for life that we need to continue to think about, as well as all those relationships that we have. We're sort of an alumni organization within our own college.
Absolutely, Hadley. I mean, think about this, folks. We go to a college for 4 years and we live for the rest of our life receiving notices about philanthropy, and many of us support the college or university we went to. The American College of Cardiology does something for you every single day professionally, for people coming up, for people that are underrepresented. This is not a 4-year one and done kind of thing the way our college and university experience was. And so it's really important to remind ourselves of just how critical the ACC is to us professionally.
That's great. I love hearing that. And I think we all really appreciate it when we think about it, that it's true, it's lifelong. So we have some special guests also in the audience, and any of you that are here are special. We appreciate it. But a couple in particular that we called on, and actually I see someone, 3 of the 4, I think, so far. But we have Dr. Eugene Sherman, Dr. Jeff Kuvan, and Dr. Nkechi Ichioma that are here with us. And I'm going to start by asking Dr. Sherman, what is it beyond just your membership that makes you want to support the college with philanthropy? Gene?
Well, I was raised in a culture of philanthropy. My parents, and equally my wife's parents, were very generous people, and it taught me to give back. It's interesting that you tied mentorship to this, because my particular recent donation is related to mentorship. So I've been mentoring underserved, underutilized segments of our workforce. So whether it's international medical graduates, Caribbean graduates, DOs, minorities, and some are combinations of those. I've been doing this for about 3 years and have become attached, almost like they're members of my family. Last year, I had an event where a young man was really scratching to get the money to apply to as many places as he needed to apply. The story is complex. He didn't match. He fortunately ended up at Hopkins in a preventive cardiology fellowship that he's doing now, and just heard last week that he did match for the coming year. But his story, and I put in a call to Marthea and said, what can we do, or how can I donate money that could go to him? And we were looking. Marthea then went to work on this, and we now have Bryn McCann. And so just today, I received from Bryn and Lisa Hicks a fund that I'm going to create, which will be an emergency fund for the ACC leadership to use for medical students, for residents, for fellows in any unique financial need, so that if a mentor hears that there's a problem, they can contact the college and get some help. So I just received the documents today, and we'll be cutting the first check to start this fund that we hope will go in perpetuity. And they picked out a great name. They called it the Benevolence Fund. And I think that's the way cardiology ought to be known, that we help our own. And so I want to give money and try to encourage others to give money so that we could help people with special needs and special circumstances.
Gene, I'm really glad to hear that. That's not only creative, but very generous. Thank you. And Dr. Kuvan, you're a big head of cardiovascular health system. Tell us about how you are interested in the philanthropy campaign.
Well, thanks for having me, Hadley. This is a great topic, and I think critical for the mission of the ACC and everything you've heard tonight and beyond. I will tell you personally, in 2007, a donation by Dr. Michael Walk at Cornell to begin the Emerging Faculty Program, it literally changed my life. Actually, Jim and I were in the same cohort, and this is one of the highlighted programs of the ACC that brings in early career faculty, teach them the skills that we need to do what we do, whether it's in research or leadership or clinical care, and then open up doors and opportunities in the college. And it literally changed my professional life now, almost 20 years later. I owe a lot to the program and I owe a lot to the ACC. And I think it ties in beautifully to this concept of giving to mentorship, to provide mentorship for all of our faculty, whether you're in practice or whether you're in academics or whatever path you choose in cardiology. It's critical that the ACC is able to support this. So thank you, Dr. Wolk, and thank you, the ACC, for that. This, as I said, is so critical to everything that we do, whether it's providing education, providing advocacy, providing opportunities for research for the future of our college. And there are so many ways to give, as simple as going online to acc.org, or when you pay your annual dues, you can always add more money and even delegate where that money is going to, whether it's for a specific program, health equity, or building some scientific work, or whether it is in at-large gift. I think it's critical to it. And you can also be creative. Think about estate planning, or think about providing either securities or stocks or other things that maybe you can even take a tax write-off for. So I think we're trying to be creative here, but it is really fundamental to everything that we think about at the college and certainly our future.
Thanks, Jeff. I always appreciate you always make complex things simple for the rest of us. I really appreciate it. And again, this time of year is key as well if we want to get that tax write-off before January 1st. So another great model ACC citizen who, unlike many of us, started later in mid-career or whatever, is, I would say, a model fellow and then fit in early career. Dr. Ijeoma, you have just been amazing all along the way, and you're even now organized to be part of philanthropy. So, Nkechi, why don't you let us know about your experiences and your interests in philanthropy?
Well, thank you very much. I give to the college, just because I've received so much mentorship from the college, is my way of paying it forward in return for all the mentorship I received and continue to receive from the college. I share the story of how in 2013 I listened to Dr. Zogby give a speech about the college, and I knew in that moment that I wanted to be involved with the college. And ever since then, I've always sought out ways to participate in the activities of the college. And it's been a blessing because the college and its leadership really embrace the culture of mentorship. And every person that you meet in the college's leadership ranks have always, found ways to help people that want to get involved with the college. And so I'm so grateful for the different ways within my state chapter, Dr. Lakshmi Mehta, and then within the Leadership Academy, working with Dr. Zogby on a more formal relationship has really shaped my career. And so there's no way the college is doing something that I wouldn't be able to give to the college. It's just part of my fabric now. It's my way of saying thank you to the college. And I hope other people realize that the college is our professional home and that it doesn't matter what your interests are. There's always a place for anyone in the college. And don't feel afraid to reach out to the leaders. Everyone is willing to support the members in our mission to advance cardiovascular care. So that's why I give, and I continue to give.
Hadley, I still remember the first time I met her several years ago. An amazing, amazing young leader. So congratulations.
She really has been all along the way. I mean, unlike a lot of us where we kind of did our fellowship and got out into our careers, and then maybe thought about the ACC, 10 or 15 years later. Niketchi's really grown up with it, and it's just been such a great leader all along the way. I still credit her for being one of the major driving forces for Fit Jeopardy, which is just explosive around the world, and probably equally as popular as the late-breaking clinical trial. So if you go down there on Sunday afternoon, it's quite a fanfare. So now we'll go to general Q&A and also invite folks to enter questions in the chat, or if we see you up there raising your hand, then we'll try and recognize you so you can speak and ask your own question. While we're doing that, I will just solicit, and maybe with the chat, with putting your hand up, I'll solicit our great group of panelists here. Dr. Sherman's already got his hand up, which is great. To make any comments that you want to make. And then the question I had for all of you is, we've heard so many great programs that are going on. Where is it that you think philanthropy really needs to help as we move ahead here in the next few years, certainly in 2024 and beyond? Sandy's helping us with the mid-career women's program. We've talked about the young scholars that have been helped along, both with the research awards with Dr. Zogby, and also with Hanny's program for folks to come and observe for cardiovascular surgery and so forth, and so many other programs that I haven't even mentioned. So got a couple of hands up here. I'll go with Dr. Sherman first, and then Dr. Lewis.
As far as to where we would go, one suggestion would be we find a productive way to direct some funds toward diversifying our workforce. I think the college has come out with policy. I can tell you from dealing with program directors, from dealing with other faculty that interview people, not everybody walks the talk. A lot of people talk, but they don't do the walk. And so I think maybe some funds or some philanthropic efforts to really diversify our workforce would be helpful. The other thing is, I don't think there's not a good resource, and Brent and I have talked about this. We will try to get information readily available to people so that they can do estate planning, so that they understand taxation after the age of 65, and many of the unique things you can do to actually give away a lot of your money and lower your taxable income, and still have lots of money left for yourself. I don't think many people, doctors think they know everything about finance, but the more people I talk to, how little people understand how in their estate planning they can give to many philanthropic efforts. And I think we'd like to, Brent and I have talked about how we're going to try to help educate more people in that regard, or at least give them a resource so they can make informed choices.
Thanks, Gene. And actually, before I go on any further and recognize our other hands up, I would definitely be remiss if I didn't introduce Brian McCann as our new Director of Philanthropy here at ACC. And Brian, you've been in this program for, I guess, almost a year. Would you like to just say a few words?
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary. My first year here has been an amazing year. Our philanthropy task force, and Dr. Januzzi is our leader, and all of the BOT fully supporting this effort. It has been a really amazing experience so far. And we are working hard to build a wonderful culture of philanthropy at the college, and it does take many people to do that. So I'm thankful for all those who supported the college in the past through philanthropy and are considering supporting it in the future.
And this is not a new vocation for you, Brian. Could you just give us a little bit of your recent past history in this area?
Yes, sure. So I have been in fundraising for over 20 years. I actually live in Birmingham, Alabama, and I did community-based fundraising here in our local community in Birmingham for over 15 years. And then I moved into the medical society space a little over 4 years ago when I joined the American Society for Reproductive Medicine. And it was there that I got introduced into the medical society space, and I'm thankful to be here at the ACC, helping to support our mission and our activities.
And we're really grateful to have you here too. You have really been given a lot of leadership here over the past year. So now I'll go around with the hands up. I think Dr. Lewis, you were first, and then Dr. Kuban.
Thanks, Dr. Wilson. We had a very wonderful session a couple of weeks ago with Dr. Kim Eagle, who is a fundraiser extraordinaire from University of Michigan. And Dr. Eagle said many things that really struck home with me, but one of them, and I'm going to ask Dr. Januzzi, one of them was that you shouldn't force people to contribute to what you want. You should find out what they want. And I didn't know what we might do as a college to encourage people to be creative. I can see that the examples that we've seen here today, those are all things that resonated with each of us. How do we build that?
Yeah, great question, Sandy. And look, we are surrounded by leaders from top to bottom at ACC, and some of the great examples of how philanthropy has created careers for us. Jeff and I in the emerging faculty program is a great example. So we are open to that kind of directed giving at all times. People have great ideas in the college, and you are absolutely correct. It's not about what we want. It's encouraging people to donate because, as Dr. Sherman said, as Jean said, it's about benevolence. And we're fortunate to be doctors. We are fortunate to be cardiologists. We are fortunate to be able to do the things that we do. And so it's in a way, it's a matter of essentially creating the opportunity for giving and then letting it happen. If you build it, they will come. And I sincerely believe that as we build this culture of philanthropy at the ACC, we'll be seeing a lot more activity coming.
Thank you, Jim and Sandy. So, Dr. Kuban.
Thanks, Hadley. I think some of the programs that really resonate with me include our pipeline programs. Really thinking about the ultimate is our workforce, but how do we get the right people into the right jobs? We talked about diversity, that's certainly important, but we need to go further back, much further back than fellows or residents. We need to think about high schoolers or even before, sharing our experiences with them, having them come to the hospital, having them come to annual sessions. This takes money. Philanthropy, in my mind, is a great way to increase and enlighten our pipeline. I think we've all talked about mentorship programs. There are so many others that we can mentor even better, whether it's medical students or fellows in training or early career. There's so many opportunities. And in my mind, it should be as much in person as possible. Again, it takes money, but in-person mentorship is critical to the mentee as well as the mentor. And for that matter, we've heard a lot about our international program. I think trying to not only go to international countries to share what ACC does, but bringing international clinical care team members to the ACC, to our annual meeting, to some of our leadership conferences, I think could be really, really important for the mentor as well as the mentee.
Thanks, Jeff. And Dr. Zogby, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Hadley. Just a few things. One is that all the contributions from our donors go to that particular area of giving. And I think it's very important. It's not going to operations. is going to the area of giving, be it education, benevolence, research, very areas. Two is, and I'm quite involved in fundraising, obviously, with my position here, is for a department, for a local hospital department, academic department, our main area of targeting, which is amazing really, is the grateful patient. These are the patients who appreciate so much the care that you're giving, etc. And what I would see here for the college, it's a different engagement. It is the grateful cardiologist who has been engaged with the college so many years, with education, professional development, everything else. And I think, you know, traditionally, the college has not been a fundraiser, if you will, for the mission. And where I see the mission that needs fundraising is the emerging leaders, the fellows who are about to go into the workforce, and the people who need help in mentoring, in education. I mean, Jeff mentioned, you know, the education program that we have. In research, we have not been traditionally thought of as funders of research. We're not funding big research, but at least seed grants for people to be able to use them to grow into their field. So there are so many areas that we can touch. And I think our members probably are the best supporters for us, the mission, but also our members in connection with industry, because our industry partners also would be generous enough to be able to contribute to our mission.
Yeah, if I could jump in and actually say, you know, what Dr. Zogby just said is so critically important. You know, we donate to our medical school, we donate to our college or university because we loved being there, and there's a sense of affection. We at the college, you know, do a lot for a broad range of you know, different levels, from, you know, people in training all the way to senior faculty. Sometimes people don't necessarily realize that. And I think it's important, you know, as we build this culture of philanthropy, you know, in a way that will grow goodwill, for people to learn more about what the college does for you every single day. So whether it's helping bring junior faculty or trainees to the national meeting, funding research. You know, Bill, I'm thinking big. I like the idea of seed grants, but there's no reason why we couldn't grow this even larger. All the way to folks like us, Hadley, you know, who are practicing, you know, clinicians, learning about what the college does from an advocacy perspective, from a payer perspective, with the influence of the guidelines, the influence of consensus documents on clinical care. All of these factors are critically important, I think, to build that culture of philanthropy. And believe me, Dr. Zogby, we're on it. Brian McCann and I are thinking about this every single day.
We cannot thank you enough, really, for this is a rather, I would say, rather new initiative, which is really very important to the college. And you could tell from, you know, the award that people, 65 applicants, it gives you the connection also with the world. All these are individuals outside the United States. We are a global organization. And I think, you know, we have to connect with people in so many different ways where their needs are.
So, Bill, I loved your analogy of the grateful patient and now us as the grateful member. I think that's a great analogy, and also as we think about some of the things that the college is doing recently, we talked about in the international, and then also with our young scholars and pipelines, and also with the research awards and so forth, and even as I look to Dr. Kuvan there, really being at the helm of this new board of cardiovascular medicine application, that we should have a lot of grateful members. So, Hannah, you have some good words to say, I'm sure.
Yeah, so building on the topic that we're talking about, I have to say the way I look at giving to the college to these young scholars from international. Imagine your return on investment on that. Imagine this young doctor who came and learned something from the ACC annual meeting or being in an advanced cardiac centers in the United States, takes this knowledge back to how many patients they actually gonna treat for the rest of their life, and how much you can impact their life by a simple exposure to an advanced cardiac center as well as the ACC. And then you've got a life commitment to the college. I have to say that this, when you think about this, and when I hear the testimonials from the younger physicians that came across from different parts of the world to the ACC, it's just heart warming to hear their comments of how they have been recognized to come here. And it is an incredible satisfaction for the donor. You won't believe that until you're part of it, to see that you've contributed and you've impacted a young physician to come and get exposure to this. This is the ultimate satisfaction, and it's definitely worth way more than whatever money is being spent on it. So I truly believe that in both ways, it really gives an incredible satisfaction to everybody who is involved in it, and also gives rise to our college, the college that we've learned from for many, many years until where we got to where we are now. And we're going to continue to support it to truly become the true global society of cardiovascular medicine in the world.
Thank you, Hani. So we just have about 5 minutes left for any questions from the audience. So if you have anything, raise your hand or put it in the chat. And before we do our last spin around, I'd like to go back to Nkechi, Dr. Ijeoma, and if you would just give us some thoughts on takeaways from this evening and how we might think about areas to target for philanthropy as we move forward in the college. Nkechi?
So I think for takeaways, number one, creating avenues so people can give to what they're passionate about. I think that's really important. And then two is we have to, most of us are giving because we want to give to the college because we've received so much. And I think there are people out there who also want to give back, but they just don't know how. And I think we need to find a way to reach out to them and let them know that, there are different opportunities to give. And to let them know the different things that may resonate with them as well. I think I'll stop there. But I think once again, just letting people know that we do have a culture of giving back in the college, and that there are different ways that they can give back, and they just need to find which one of the many avenues resonates with them.
Thanks, Nkechi. It's always good hearing from you. And Dr. Sherman.
Yeah, in regards to letting people know, if we decide to have a give day, and one of my suggestions might be that be the anniversary date of the college might become the give day. If we decide, then you need to have a menu where people can see what the different funds are. There might be hundreds of people that want to give to Dr. Zogby's fund, for instance. And so people need to be able to go to that site. That's what many of the Gives Days that I participate in do. You can go on and you just pick out what you want, you click it, you decide how much, then you give them your credit card or you send a check and you do it. So I think picking a monumental or meaningful day for the college for the Give Day, and then making certain that the menu is such that people can fully understand what their options are to give.
That's good suggestions, Gene. Thank you. And Sandy, any takeaways that you want to give to the group here this evening?
You know, the message that I hear is that not only is the ACC our college, but it's our family. And I think that the ability to build this family is really a unique opportunity, and we just need to share the word of how meaningful it can be to watch people grow from what we're giving. I can't help but think about Maimonides, who was a 12th century philosopher and physician, who talked about the 8 types of giving. And number 1 is you don't really want to give, but you'll give. But the number 8, the most important, is giving so that others to help themselves. And so much of what we're doing here is that 8th level.
Thanks, Sandy. I loved hearing about that. Even thinking about that back in the 12th century. That's awesome. Jim?
Yeah, well, let me add a somewhat more contemporary sort of corollary to what Dr. Lewis just said. In participating in philanthropy at my home institution, the Massachusetts General Hospital, I learned a lot from my mentor, Roman DeSanctis, who once told me a story about a patient that he took care of for many years, where he was hoping that they would donate money to the hospital. They were somebody with means who, had a history of philanthropy in other areas, but they never did. And then one day, Dr. DeSanctis read in the newspaper that this person had donated $100 million to another hospital in Boston, even though they got their care at the Mass General. And when he asked the patient why they didn't donate to Mass General, she said 3 words: "You didn't ask."
You didn't ask.
And so it's critically important to recognize that as we are building this culture of philanthropy, we will be asking. But the key here is we're recognizing, as Dr. Lewis said, there's this innate need to support, this need to be benevolent that Dr. Sherman mentioned. And our goal here is to create this positive culture at the ACC to really, show people how their giving can support others, because we're so fortunate. I mean, all of us here, have benefited greatly from the college for one reason or another, and we're helping others, but we can do so much more. And so we will be asking, folks. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jim. I know you know how to ask. That's great. And Jeff, any comments you want to make or takeaways? I was interested in your earlier suggestion about planned giving. How would that work here?
Sure. Well, I'll just first say that the ACC is my professional home, and I can speak for everyone on this call. It's our professional home. And to be honest, it's the professional home of anybody who's providing cardiovascular care: physicians, nurses, technicians, students, FITs. So the ACC is doing things that actually help our profession on a daily basis. I can't think of a better organization to support. How we support it, as you mentioned, Hadley, there's so many different ways. You can certainly, I'm no expert in it, but you can certainly give what's called planned giving, and that is writing in your estate or in your will how you would like your assets to be divvied up upon either your death or even beforehand. And there are so many creative ways. I think Jean mentioned some of these. There's so many creative ways to do this. Talk to your tax consultant or your CPA or your friends that do this. But again, I think that the ACC has such a diverse portfolio that does affect our patients and our providers on a daily basis.
Thanks, Jeff. Hanny, any final words or takeaways?
Yeah, I know definitely couple of takeaways that Jim and his leadership and the philanthropy, and I'm in his committee also, we have a lot of work to do, that's for sure. Great ideas that came about through this hour, and I think zooming down on them is a lot of hard work, and I'm sure with Brian's support and the ACC support, we're going to get there. So lots of work, and Jim, I'm sure now you've put down all these, and Brian and then we'll look forward for the next meeting so we can actually hash all these ideas. So a lot to digest on this one.
Thanks, Hanny. And so, Bill, I'm going to give you the last word as a longtime leader of the HPC.
Well, thank you, Hadley. I think it has been an amazing discussion, great contributions, great thoughts, and hopefully it is exciting for people who are listening to us and maybe watching this down the line. That giving is an amazing thing, and it happens in different stages. As young physicians, the ask would be very small, just like my children give to their university or their high schools. But as you grow in life and your family is established and everything else, you look for ways to contribute in different ways, just rather than focus on your academic achievement or your professional achievements. And I think, how beautiful would it be that part of the legacy of our members and our partners is to make sure that the college and its mission, stays strong. And the strength of this college is to make sure that the next generation of physicians, nurses, nurse practitioners involved in cardiovascular disease thrive in so many ways. Education, research, making sure that they have the affordability to be able to do what they need to do, diversity, all these aspects that we talked about today. So I think this is part of our legacy, in addition to the local legacy that we would leave.
Thanks, Bill. This has been an amazing discussion. I've really enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot myself this evening. And I really want to thank each and every one of our panelists that were here with us tonight, Dr. Zogby, Dr. Najm, Dr. Lewis, Dr. Januzzi, and also in our audience, Dr. Kuban and Dr. Sherman and Dr. Ijoma. And as you may recall, this is the time when we have this celebratory toast in our heart-to-heart, and hopefully each of you have your glass handy, and if you can see it in a little writing there, heart-to-heart, or a substitute thereof. And so, Bill's got his up.
There we go.
Great.
We got it.
Excellent.
Tell
Okay,
you what's
and
in
so excellent. So I'd like to toast all of you for being part of this meeting this evening, and I'm sure we'll see many replays of it in times to come. But if not, I wish you all a very festive and happy holiday season. Thank you all for participating and calling in here this evening. Heart to heart to your health.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.